Hello and welcome to Iridium Rock and Metal Reviews. So today I'm going to review the new album by Armored Saint, Punch in the Sky.
Rise with the alarm of front-flare sounds. Hold that opportunity knocks. Nemesis soul seeds of doubt. Leaves me feeling chill. Shock. Confident, I think I got it all figured out. With help from osmosis. Sift through the crowd, hit the safety valve. Then put on angels. Scream, rest from the inferno. Don't have till I go straight. Which way do I go? As I grow older, I lift this boulder, a string that should fade away. Standing on the shoulders of giants, punching the sky every day. As life gets colder, flames they smolder, clouds so I can survey. Standing on the shoulders of giants, punching the sky every day.
So Armored Saint, LA based American metal band. This band have been going a long time, 1982 they've been going since, and I remember when they first were on the scene, and they were around about when Queensryche first came on the scene as well. And I remember being put in the same sort of category as that band, as Queensryche. Well, all you metal fans now know that Armored Saint are nothing like Queensryche. And in fact, they're sort of hard to pinpoint. People try to pinpoint the band. What sort of genre of metal are they? And really, you could just say they are straight up heavy metal, because they're definitely not power metal. They're not thrash either. You know, even though they got some thrash connections, I suppose, with John Bush going to Anthrax, they were never a thrash band at all. And I suppose they were sort of labelled in that sort of Queensryche sort of put into that sort of category, because I remember when they first came out and they was playing live, they used to play with armour on, like the Armoured Saint stuff, which they quickly dropped. But I remember them, Can You Deliver? I remember the single and loving it, absolutely loving it. So this is like all those years now. This is the 8th studio album by the band. So not that many, considering they've been going since 1982. But of course, like I said, John Bush went to Anthrax for quite a few years, about 7 years. So, you know, there was a big hiatus, but then they came back and they've been going ever since. So you've got to say, give it to John Bush though. What a great voice this guy's got. Another great vocalist who's kept his voice. It basically hasn't changed since when they started. It's still got the strength there. It's still got really good aggression to his voice. It hasn't changed. I can't see any difference in his voice whatsoever. So that's just, throughout this album, he does a great job. So also the band consists of, apart from John Bush on vocals, you've got Joey Vera on bass. He's been there since the beginning as well. You've got Jeff Duncan on rhythm guitar, Gonzo Sandoval on drums, and Phil Sandoval on lead guitar. And they do a great job all the way through this album. I especially love the rhythm guitar playing in this. There's some great riffing throughout the album. The lead guitar as such, he's good as well, but I think the rhythm guitar in these songs and the riffing that goes right through the album is the highlight for me. And the production is absolutely excellent. So I always bang on about production, and whether these bands now fall into this category of, you know, the production is like, it's too sort of condensed and, you know, and it's just a wall of sound. They definitely don't do that. With this Armored Saint album, the production is punchy, the bass is up there, the guitars are up there, the drums are up there. So everything's shining in this. Everything's really punchy in the production. So there's no worries about that at all. From the outset, it's absolutely great. So let's get on to the songs itself. So we kick off the album in good style with, it was a single, so you can catch this on YouTube, Standing on the Shoulders of Giants. Beginning's a bit strange, sort of starts off with sort of some bagpipes sort of feel to it, then a very cool intro that lasts quite a while. If anything, it could be like a separate intro, but it's not. It's actually gets tagged onto the beginning of the song, making it a 6+ minute song. And straight away, about 2 minute mark, just under it, kicks into the song, and John Bush is in great form as always. Love the chorus on this one. Modern sort of melodic chorus. It's a real riff heavy song, like a lot of these songs are. And it's sort of like a mixture of classic metal but a little bit modern at the same time. So, you know, they've sort of made themselves sort of available to the modern metal audience as well, without ever being that sort of turning into that modern band, you know, keeping their classic sound with little elements of modern stuff. Now, this is a great song to start off the album. Next up is End of the Attention Span. It's like a real rocker, riff heavy again. Some of these songs are not as, you know, I think after a few listens they're going to get you with their melody. This one is one that didn't with me straight away. So it's not one of my favourites, but it's still a good song. And I think some of this will be, you know, with repeated listens, the melodies will shine through, and I think that End of Attention Span is one of those. Next up is Bubble. Now this has got a really cool riff to it. A little bit of an odd time signature, and we're not talking we're not talking progressive metal or anything, but just a bit of an odd time signature in that riff in there. John Bush yet again on form, and love the verses in this one. It's about the 3 minute mark. There's a really cool riff breakdown, really heavy riff. Really like Bubble, great song. Next up is My Jurisdiction. It's another rocker. Again, not grabbing me straight away like the melodies on this one, but I think it could, you know, this is one that could get me at a later stage, but still a good track. Not a bad track, by the way, at the moment on this album. The next one is Do Wrong to None. Now, this is a great song. Really sort of a heavy, thrashy sort of breakdown at the beginning of the song. And then it sort of almost goes like on a Pantera-esque riff with vocals over the top of it. It's a really heavy song, but this is really melodic at the same time. This is one of my favourites, Do Wrong to None. Next up is Lone Wolf. Now this is another great song. I love this one. It's sort of nice to hear some sort of backing vocals on this one, some harmonising going on, and it sort of brings a sort of more melodic and a different texture to the rest of the album, this one. A great song, Lone Wolf.
Just choose to sit this one out. I've been a war
So next up, track 7, Missile to Gun. Bit of a faster rocker, this one. Very sort of new wave of British heavy metal, this. So yeah, again, not sort of one of my favourites off the album. So I reckon with repeated listens, the faster ones, the melodies could shine through, but they definitely shine through on the sort of more medium pace sort of songs rather than the fast ones. Fly in the Ointment is next. It's nice to hear some singing from John Bush over like a clean guitar at the beginning. Gives a bit of light and shade to this song. Do you know what I mean? Sort of a slow to medium pace song. It's sort of different, this song, and I like that. It's given a different side to the rest of the album again. There's a lot of mixing it up on this album, not just mixing it up with different sounding songs, but within a song as well. This is a good song, Fly in the Ointment. Next up is Bark No Bite. Not one of my favourites. It's like a Thin Lizzy type sort of Thin Lizzy-esque sort of beginning to this, and it's probably not full 70s sounding, but has got those sort of elements of 70s, but with the Armoured Saint sort of feel to it still. But Bark No Bite is probably my least favourite song on the album, without a doubt. Next up is a great track called Unfair. Sort of an atmospheric slow burner, this one. Sort of a slow sort of pace song. It sort of builds up. Starts off slow with John Bush sort of almost talking, and then builds up to a great finish. This is a really good song, and probably one of the catchiest melodic songs on the album. Unfair, great track.
What was ours is now minutes. That's all that time permits. What was our future is mere seconds. Unfair, but all you get.
Closing off the album, you've got Never You Fret, sort of back to the heavy riffing again. A good closer, because you know it's sort of the pace that was set throughout the album. I think it sort of finished it off nicely and what this album was all about. So the album in general, just my final thoughts on it. I thought it was a really good, consistent album. I thought it was better than their last album. I think it, like I said, it was very consistent. I think the production is just probably the best they've had throughout their career. And I know in their early material in the 80s, there was some production that was not so good, especially like the Raising Fear album. The production wasn't great, but you know, they are so happy that when I heard this, it didn't fall into that, you know, modern wall of sound, compressed sound. Definitely doesn't. Really punchy all the way through it. And this stands probably at the top of their discography. You know, it's one of the best albums they've done without a doubt. And it's nice for a metal band to just bring out, you know, a full-on metal album. They haven't strayed too far from the path. They've got little elements, you know, that bring a little bit of difference to it compared to the other albums. Some of the grooves in it, some of the pace of the songs, you know, they've thrown some, not curveballs, but they've made it a little bit different and more interesting to listen to. The guys in this band do a great job. The bass is ramped right up on this album. In some of the beginning of some of these songs, Joey Vera's bass comes in. It's really thumping. It's really great. The rest of the guys as well. Jeff Duncan on the guitar, really good, along with Phil Sandoval. You know, the guitaring's really great. Some of the lead guitar probably wasn't. It could have been done with being ramped up a little bit more, the lead guitar. I feel like it was hidden in the background a little bit on some of them. You know, I think it could have been up front in the mix a little bit more. It sort of felt like it was sort of at the back of the mix a little bit. Although the production's really great, I think that was probably what they was going for. And Gonzo Sandoval as well on the drums does a great job. And him and Joey Vera, you know, they just keep these really sort of grooves going through all the album, and they do a great job. So yeah, so I would recommend this album without a doubt. Armored Saint, they've been very consistent since they've come back, and since John Bush has been back in the band, bringing good albums out, and this is probably the best of their newer albums without a doubt. Recommended, easy from me. If you like your metal to be pure metal, you know what I mean, there's no sort of, this is what you would say about Armored Saint. It's not often now. They are a heavy metal band. They're not extreme, they're no way thrash, they're not poppy in any way. They are a heavy metal band, just like you used to have, you know. So I think Armored Saint fans will be really happy with this album, and I think it's, you know, it's a really good purchase. So recommended. Right, I hope you like my Armored Saint album review. What do you think of the album? Have you already got it? Are you going to get it? Let me know what you think compared to the rest of the discography of Armored Saint. Do you think it's their best one so far? It's definitely up there, in my opinion, but let me know in the comments below. Well, thanks for listening. Please press the red button if you want to subscribe, bottom right hand corner. I'll see you next time.